Rain fell heavily across the valley as Ethan Brooks finished feeding his animals. The lonely farmer lived far from the nearest town. His small farm sat between rolling hills and thick forests. Most days were quiet. He worked in his fields, cared for his chickens and cows, and spent his evenings alone. Ethan was 34 years old and had never married. He rarely saw visitors. Sometimes weeks passed without anyone coming to his farm. The silence had become a normal part of his life. That evening, dark clouds covered the sky. Strong wind shook the trees around the farmhouse. Ethan finished locking the barn and hurried inside before the storm became worse. He had just sat down near the fireplace when a loud knock echoed through the house. Ethan frowned. Nobody ever visited during a storm. The knock came again. He grabbed a lantern and walked to the front door. When he opened it, he froze in surprise. Two women stood outside in the rain. They were taller than most humans and had green skin. Their clothes were dirty and torn. Mud covered their boots. Both looked exhausted. Orcs. Ethan had seen orcs before in distant towns, but never at his home. The older one stepped forward carefully. "Please," she said. "We need shelter." Her voice sounded tired. The younger woman swayed slightly as if she might fall. "We have nowhere else to go," she added quietly. Ethan looked at them for a moment. He could see they were cold and hungry. "Come inside," he finally said. Relief appeared on their faces. The women entered quickly while Ethan closed the door behind them. The warmth of the fireplace filled the room. "I'm Ethan," he said. "I'm Mia. And I'm Nora." Ethan brought blankets and placed them near the fire. "You can warm yourselves here." "Thank you," Mia said sincerely. While the storm raged outside, Ethan prepared a simple meal. He served bread, vegetables, and soup. The two orcs ate carefully at first, then much faster once they realized there was enough food. It was clear they had not eaten properly for days. After dinner, the three sat quietly by the fire. The silence became awkward. Finally, Nora smiled slightly. "You live here alone?" Ethan nodded. "Always have." "No family?" Mia asked. Ethan stared at the flames. "No wife? No children?" He gave a small laugh. "To be honest, I've never had a wife." The two women looked surprised. Ethan shrugged. "Just me and the farm." For the first time that evening, Mia smiled warmly. "You must be stronger than you look." Ethan chuckled. "Or maybe just stubborn." The conversation continued for another hour. Slowly, everyone relaxed. But while Ethan believed the storm was the biggest problem facing his guests, Mia and Nora knew the truth. Far beyond the valley, dangerous people were searching for them. And sooner or later, those people would find the farm. The next morning, sunlight broke through the clouds. The storm had finally passed. Ethan woke early and stepped outside to check his farm. The fields were wet, but nothing had been damaged. When he returned to the house, he found Mia already awake. She was helping prepare breakfast. "You don't have to do that," Ethan said. "We're staying under your roof," Mia replied. "It's only fair." Ethan smiled and sat down. Over the next few days, Mia and Nora remained at the farm. The roads were muddy, and they claimed they needed time before continuing their journey. Ethan did not mind. For the first time in years, the farmhouse felt alive. Nora helped repair fences. Mia worked in the vegetable garden. During meals, they shared stories and laughed together. Ethan found himself looking forward to each day. Still, something felt unusual. The two women were stronger than ordinary travelers. Ethan once saw Nora lift a heavy feed sack with one arm. Another time, Mia noticed movement in the woods long before anyone else could hear it. Neither woman spoke much about her past. One evening, while fixing a broken wagon wheel, Ethan finally asked, "Who are you really?" Mia and Nora exchanged a quick glance. "We're just travelers," Nora answered. But Ethan could tell she was hiding something. He decided not to push further. That night, Mia stood outside alone, staring toward the distant mountains. Nora joined her. "They'll find us eventually," Nora said quietly. "I know. We can't keep running forever." Mia sighed. "I only wanted a little peace." Nora looked toward the farmhouse window where Ethan sat reading near the fire. "He deserves the truth." "Not yet," Mia replied. Several days later, strange tracks appeared near the edge of the forest. Ethan noticed them while checking his animals. The footprints were fresh, and there were many of them. A bad feeling settled in his stomach. Someone was coming. Far away, a group of armed riders moved through the valley. Their leader studied a map before pointing toward Ethan's farm. "She's there." The riders immediately changed direction. Their search was almost over. The riders arrived at sunset. Ethan was feeding his chickens when he saw them approaching across the fields. There were nearly a dozen of them. Each carried weapons. Mia and Nora stepped outside as soon as they heard the horses. Their faces immediately grew serious. "You know them," Ethan said. Neither woman answered. The riders stopped in front of the farmhouse. Their leader climbed down from his horse. He was a large orc wearing dark armor. His eyes settled on Mia. "My lady," he said, "you've caused enough trouble. It's time to come home." Ethan looked at Mia in confusion. "My lady." Mia lowered her head. The secret could no longer stay hidden. "I didn't want you involved in this," she said to Ethan. "Then explain." Nora stepped forward. "Mia isn't an ordinary traveler." The armored orc nodded. "She is the daughter of Chief Doran, ruler of the Iron Fong clan." Ethan stared at her. For several seconds, he could not speak. The woman who had worked beside him in the garden was the daughter of one of the most powerful orc leaders in the region. The writer continued. "She is expected to return and fulfill her duties." Mia crossed her arms. "I already told you no." The orc's expression hardened. "The clan needs you." "The clan wants to force me into marriage." Several riders looked uncomfortable. Ethan finally understood. She had not run away because she was weak. She had run away because she wanted control over her own future. The leader took a step forward. "You don't have a choice." "I do." Tension filled the air. Ethan looked from Mia to the armed warriors. Then he stepped forward. The riders immediately focused on him. "What are you doing?" Nora whispered. Ethan swallowed nervously. But he kept standing. "They came here asking for shelter," he said. "They are under my protection." Several warriors laughed. The leader did not. "You would stand against us?" Ethan's hands trembled slightly. But he nodded. "Yes." For a moment, nobody moved. Then Mia smiled. It was the first genuine smile Ethan had seen since meeting her. The leader climbed back onto his horse. "This is not over." He signaled the others. The riders turned and rode away. But before disappearing into the distance, the leader looked back. "More warriors are coming." Silence returned. Ethan watched them disappear. Then he faced Mia. "You should probably tell me everything." Mia laughed softly. "Yes," she admitted. "I think I should." As darkness covered the valley, she began telling the story of her clan, her father, and the enemies who would soon arrive. And for the first time, Ethan realized how dangerous the days ahead would become. After Mia revealed the truth, life on the farm changed quickly. The next morning, Ethan, Mia, and Nora began preparing for trouble. The riders had promised to return, and nobody doubted their warning. Ethan knew the valley better than anyone. He showed Mia and Nora the narrow trails, rocky hills, and thick forests surrounding the farm. Together they planned how to defend the area if warriors arrived. Word soon spread to nearby farms. Several neighbors came to help. They respected Ethan and trusted his judgment. When they learned that armed riders might come through the valley, they agreed to stand with him. "We protect our own," one farmer said. For the first time in years, Ethan was not facing a problem alone. Nora spent her days teaching volunteers how to defend themselves. Mia helped organize supplies and strengthen weak points around the farm. Her natural leadership impressed everyone. As the days passed, Ethan saw a different side of her. She was brave, confident, and intelligent. People listened when she spoke. Even older farmers respected her decisions. One evening, while watching the sunset, Ethan sat beside Mia. "Do you miss home?" he asked. Mia was quiet for a moment. Sometimes. Then why not go back? She looked toward the distant mountains. Because I want to choose my own future. Ethan nodded. He understood that feeling. 4 years, loneliness had controlled his life. Now he finally had friends who cared about him. A few days later, scouts spotted movement in the valley. The warriors had returned. This time there were many more. Dozens of riders appeared along the distant hills. The villagers quickly took their positions. Ethan's heart pounded as he watched the approaching force. The leader from before rode at the front. "We only want Mia," he shouted. Mia stepped forward. "You want to control me?" The leader raised his weapon. "You belong with your clan. I belong where I choose." The battle began moments later. Warriors charged across the fields. Villagers defended their homes. Nora fought fiercely, protecting those around her. Ethan used every bit of knowledge he had about the land. Hidden trenches and barriers slowed the attackers. The fighting continued for hours. At one point, several warriors broke through and rushed toward Mia. Without thinking, Ethan ran forward. He placed himself directly between them and Mia. One attacker swung a weapon. Ethan barely avoided the strike. Others rushed to help him. The attackers were pushed back. Mia stared at Ethan in shock. "You could have been killed." Ethan laughed nervously. "Probably." For the first time, many warriors began questioning why they were fighting. They had expected a frightened runaway. Instead, they saw a leader willing to stand beside her people. As the sun began to set, the attackers finally retreated. The battle was over, and Mia had earned the respect of everyone who witnessed it. The valley slowly returned to peace. After the battle, news spread across the region. Stories were told about the human farmer who defended 2 strangers and the orc woman who stood against those trying to control her future. Many warriors who had fought against Mia began changing their minds. They respected her courage. They respected her leadership. Most importantly, they respected the fact that she had chosen her own path. Several weeks later, representatives from different orc clans gathered for an important meeting. Mia attended with Nora by her side. Ethan was invited as well. The farmer felt completely out of place among powerful leaders and experienced warriors, but Mia insisted he come. "You belong there," she told him. During the meeting, Mia spoke openly about the future. She wanted peace between clans. She wanted cooperation with nearby human settlements. And she wanted every person to have the freedom to make important choices for themselves. Her words impressed many leaders. Some disagreed, but most listened. By the end of the gathering, an agreement was reached. The rival clans would stop trying to force Mia into marriage. In return, she would help build stronger relationships between the different groups. It was a victory that nobody had expected. When the meeting ended, Mia, Nora, and Ethan traveled back to the farm. The journey felt different. The danger was gone. For the first time since arriving at the valley, Mia looked completely relaxed. Weeks passed peacefully. The farm became busy once again. Neighbors visited often. Traders stopped by to hear stories about the recent events. Ethan's lonely life had disappeared. One evening, the 3 friends sat outside watching the stars. The night was calm. The air was cool. Ethan smiled as he looked across the fields. "It's strange," he said. "What is?" Nora asked. "I spent years wishing something interesting would happen." Mia laughed. "And now I miss the quiet days." The 3 shared a laugh. After a moment, Mia became serious. "There is something I want to ask." Ethan looked at her. "My people are rebuilding many old settlements." He waited. "We could use someone we trust." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "You want me to help?" "I want you to visit the orc homeland." Ethan stared at her. The lonely farmer who had rarely left his valley was now being invited to travel beyond anything he had ever known. He looked at Nora, then at Mia. Finally, he smiled. "I think I'd like that." Mia smiled back. The future remained uncertain. There would be challenges, new adventures, and difficult decisions ahead. But Ethan no longer faced them alone. The man who once believed he would spend his entire life in solitude had gained true friends, a larger purpose, and a place in a story far greater than himself. And it had all begun on a stormy night when two desperate orcs knocked on his door and asked for shelter.